Well, hello, and welcome to my home to a new video. Today is September 1st, and special welcome to those who stumbled upon this video first time or after a long time coming back in the stitchy world. My name is Jurgita, and I do mainly cross stitch, some specialty stitches, needlework, some beading, and tiny bit of different types of crafts. But if you're returning viewer, thank you for joining me again, and hopefully you'll be playing with me this game, which is 3 months to the finish line that I've started several years back, and I know some of you played that with me in those years. So since today is September 1st, for the next 3 months I'm going to be concentrating on rolling my dice, so 6-part dice, and then whichever number rolls I work on that, maybe 500 stitches or until I finish certain part or something like that to the finish. And once one of those numbers are done, then I have a couple more that can replace it. But I have several monthly pieces, I could say, webs that I work on each month. So during this game it's not gonna be exception, and I think I'm gonna start the month like always. I usually try to start with one of my main webs for monthly parts, and that's my spoiled child. So before we roll a dice, we're gonna work on my spoiled child. Let's go and see. And this is what the whole painting will look like. Lots of wall on the top and lots of action happening in the bottom. And this is where I'm gonna be starting first. So as you can see, lots is done, and main characters faces are done. So my plan for this year, for to the end of the year, to finish this row, which is a little bit ahead of time, so I don't have to strive to way too much to finish it off. So I'm just gonna try to probably divide it approximately 4 parts and stitch only that part most likely, and then I'll come back to show you what it looks like then. So I'm stitching this on 18 count 8, doing full cross 2/1 because there's quite a few blends, patterned by Astra, and this is what it looks like. And I guess I'll come back to you. For you, we're gonna be most likely a second, and I'll be working for several days to stitch on the area, and it's gonna be mainly the ladies let's move over so you can see the latest outfit, and maybe part of her hand over here to stitch. So it's going to be a more lighter colors than what I'm used to, all the dark or all around it. So at least that's going to be cool. So this is what it looks like right now, and let's see what it will look like partial done. And 5 days passed, and I made 3,800 stitches plus a few extra. So I figured I need to stop now because I'm not gonna have much left to do for the other months. So what I have left is just this area, and that's not a lot for the 3 months period. So I need to stop, even though I kind of didn't want to. I think I'm one of those people that once I see the finish line, I kind of start going faster and faster, and throw all my strength into it to get reach it much faster. But I've decided, since I'm playing this 3 months game, I need to throw in some smaller pieces that I want to finish, because this row I have to also, in the other groups, in some of the Facebook stitch groups, I have to give at least 1,000, I think, each month to stitch on one piece constantly. So I need to have something left to do for those 3 months. So this is where I'm gonna stop, and after looking at my stitch part, I just then noticed that there is like a string tying up her sleeves higher up, so it's not gonna be hanging down, so it's gonna be probably the same on the bottom hand. I believe I've seen in some of the movies, you know, they tie her up so the hands are free of for labor, whatever they wanted to do, like especially in the kitchen, and then they untie it, undo it, and it all falls down to the wrist area. So this is where I finished the fabric. Nicely falling down in here, and when I was taking picture, the way the strings continue going there, it's like a weird angle of her hand, and that's gonna be continued on the next year, I believe. So a little bit went into her tiny bit of her skin, and mostly it was just like a skirt part in here, like you can see this area. That's why we had some darker parts, and that's where I'm gonna be working on next time, is mainly her busty place and a tiny bit of the fabric. There's not much fabric gonna be in this portion, but much lighter colors will be for the next month. But this is where I stopped, and I kind of originally thought about stopping like in here, but I had some more time last night, so I figured I might as well finish off the hanging threads that were hanging like this, kind of, and just were finishing off until I decided to stop. So this is where I'm gonna leave my spoiled child alone, set it aside, and I think now it's time for the game to start, right? Let's go. Okay, so here it is, my six main pieces that I want to use in a display. And I have my little dice, like always, like every year. I keep it safe so that doesn't get lost. And let's roll it and see which one of these six are gonna fall out. So far I still haven't found the wooden egg. I have everything else except the egg, so if number one falls out, I'll substitute for something else. So let's shake it up, and number two, yay. So number two is wedding confections. Let me pull it out bigger picture and what I have so far done for you. So this is what it's supposed to look like once it's all done, and the only thing I have left is mainly to stitch the name and the date of newlyweds wedding, and stitch top and bottom portion of the smallest biscornu. So let's see, I bought the kit from Meridian Designs, the Galleria, Needlework Galleria, and it had threads. I just thrown on a piece of paper here and made the holes to tie it up. So there's some silk threads and some DMC threads in here. Plus in the kit we had these delicate beads, very shiny, and big beads gonna be for tying up top and bottom portions of each biscornu. So what I have so far looking like is like this. So this is the bottom part of the biggest biscornu I was telling you about, that needs the words to put in here, and there's a top of the biggest one, and we have a medium size. So there's one more left, biscornu, and it's going to be smaller than that, so I'm sure it's going to fit in here with the cutout areas. I grabbed the piece of fabric that I had in stack, and kind of figured out it should be long enough to do it all, and then I was measuring approximately how much I would need, not more. So I was not following strictly by the instructions, but I think I'll have enough space to cut out and sew it all up. So I need the smallest to do, and that will involve some petite stitching in here. It's I know it's kind of hard to tell, but will be petite stitching, and of course delicate beads will be added in there. So I need to work on those parts. So and like usually on a game, I'm gonna work at least 500 stitches, or if I very close at finishing with that part, I'll finish up. So I don't think it's gonna take super long time to do even one part. So we'll see how my how it fancies me, and then I'll come back to you once it's done. And it's finished. Both small pieces are done. I don't know how I miscalculated. I was making sure that at least inch is between, but it turned out it's a little bit less. So I started a little bit too much to the left. So when I cut out, I'll have to be extra careful. So both pieces of the smallest is done. So you can see that all pieces stitching is done except the words that I need to choose some kind of alphabet to put the names and the date in here. So that's why it's still on the frame. But here is all done. So it became very small, and you probably can't even see. I'm gonna show you closer. They're like petite stitches going all around by those beads in here. So they were tiny, and this one did not have any beads, of course. So that's what it looks like right now. And until I find some alphabet monograms that I like, I'm gonna set this aside, and let's see what we're gonna roll next. So this is what we have. So you can say that number 2 is all done. So with instead of that, I'm gonna pick one of these. If it rolls again, and here's my cube, and let's see what's gonna come out. Haha, number 2. All right, so let's think which one I want to do more. Maybe I'm gonna start then this one, my in her kerchief, since I have a boy already finished. So this one I need to pull it out, and I'll show you what size it is if you don't remember. So the boy, it looks like that. Both designs are made by Shoofly Needle Art Designs, and I have the leftover little piece left, just enough for the girl to do. So I know it's not gonna be just a few stitches to put in and done. So it's gonna take a little bit more time, because as you see, it's a full coverage plus back stitching, and then you have to carefully cut out around, and there's some beads and shiny thread in here. So I need to then figure out to make sure it fits in this part, because before I calculated and it was fine. So that's what she's supposed to look like. On the magazine cover it looks like that. So as you see, there's gonna be also brown skin for the main body parts, and a lighter skin, and then of course the back stitching. So that's what I'm gonna pull out next. Well, it seems like I couldn't stop right away. So first day it was just under 300 stitches done, so I thought I would work next day, and then it just I was getting closer and closer to the finish. So I'm like, well, I'm not just gonna stay in a little bit into the night and finish up. So I finished the girl. I did not cut it out yet, of course, as you can see, but it's all done. So there is a little bit space that was still left, and I did calculations correctly, so it fit in this piece. And this girl was, or Ma, was a little bit more in stitches versus the guy. So in total, by my calculations, it depends how you do the back stitching, but I didn't do every one, but I got a 1330 with everything. And what's weird that designer was suggesting using 13 count vinyl Ada, but like to do like a short ones, they were looking like a half stitching. So it says to stitch like a 3/4 of the stitch, so it would be the same as puncturing through the plastic here. So I don't know how it would have been so easy. So on some places I just was fudging around the edges, trying to figure out where, if I want to place it under a full X or what. Same was with this guy. And there was again quite a bit of back stitching, probably a little bit more than for a guy. There was no cryonic involved, but it had some beads, and it just said cream beads. So I just grabbed, I had this check bead, glass bead, in the pearl color, so I thought it should still be good. It was in the same kind of color palettes. There was a couple in here and a few in there to hold it in, and there were no again, no like French knots for the eyes or anything. It's just those little squares. So there's in that area there was like a couple, three of the different directions going in with the back stitching, but it's all done. So I'm very happy. I can put it away. And when I set it on the pattern itself in the magazine, it was the same height on the pattern, so that was kind of funny. It covers exact same thing. So I'm very happy I finished, but like I said, it took me two days to do it, and I should have stopped, but I just didn't want to once I started getting into it more. So I'm gonna set this aside, and as always, let's go look at my list. Because I have still a couple days left in this week, or I should say one day, because week could start on Sunday. So number 2 gone, this one, and number 2 is gone, this one. So if again it falls on the number 2, I might pick, because I have 2 more ornaments here to stitch, or this one, depends which one. So here is a cute little cube, and let's see what number it's gonna fall. It fell number 1. Well, since I still can't find the egg, and without it I can't do anything, I'm gonna have to bypass it for now. So let's see what hopefully it's not gonna be number 1. Oh, number 6. So number 6 is a timeless ornament. Like I said, I'm stitching the last one, and let me pull her out to show it to you. And here it is. So this is what it's looking like right now, and according to the pattern, it's maybe around 2800 still left, and that includes some back stitching. But if you remember, I have like a ribbons that I do and attach them with the invisible thread, which takes a bit longer in time and stitches. So as you can see right here, it's practically unmovable ones. And here is the picture of again all that's done. So that's where I'm stitching, is this one, the last number 6. So there's going to be beads involved, just like that, and all kinds of stuff. So I still have quite a bit to go, so I'm gonna do probably 1,000 at least stitches on this one, mostly just a half stitch and full stitch, and then back stitch, and of course beading. All that ribbons will be left for very end. So this is where I'm gonna start. And today, Saturday, was my first, my daughter's first volleyball game at YMCA with a new team. And she played against a team which had several of her previous team members, classmates. So that was very intense game. It took a whole hour, and literally they were neck and neck, and we lost the first, won the second one, and then the third one they were like one kind of thing. So we barely managed to win. But it was like nail biting, throat screaming. Everybody were like on their feet practically, cheering and getting nervous. But it was an intense game, and luckily we managed to win 2 out of 3, so that's kind of cool. And went to McDonald's, got like a smoothie, but it's I don't think I'll ever go there again. I had to order like I wanted to order in person versus type it in everything in the computer there by yourself, and then waited for a person to show up actually at the front. And when I ordered, we waited for 20 minutes. And then it's like I'm getting hearing cold numbers that were past us, and I went to the front. That lady again came out, and I asked, it's like when we were supposed to get our drinks, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot." So she brought in half melted smoothies, which we were not happy. So we sat there waiting for 20 minutes, and gosh, how much longer it would have been if I didn't just go and demanded to know the answer. So that kind of dampened our excitement. But my daughter enjoyed the playing, so that's the important thing. So I have right now some my son with the fiance is here too. They came to watch the game. My husband's still not feeling a little bit well, not too well actually. Something like his yearly fall bronchitis is probably kicking in. So we're just gonna be spending a little bit of time chatting, and so I don't know when I'm gonna grab my stitching, but it's gonna happen sometime today. So this is what you see, and hopefully I'll come back to you with some stitches put in. Going for a walk. Such a cutie. And I couldn't stand it, and just worked for 2 days. I did not stop midday yesterday to see that it should have been enough or not. So I just worked a full day, and this is what I got. So I got over 1700 stitches done. So you can kind of see that it's shaping up pretty well, and not much left to do, at least those parts to stitch. Of course, after that is going to be the French knots and back stitching, and then will be all the beads and ribbons. But the pattern maker says that it has under 1,000 stitches left, so that's for one more time kind of. Or if I get too frustrated with the ribbons, I might split it, but probably not, because once I sit down I just can't put in 500 stitches and stop kind of thing. I think I'm used to from a bigger pieces that I need to stitch for several days before I stop. But this is the result so far I got. So you can see that there were larger chunks of like a same thread. I had a blend in there too, and just starting to finish off the edges, and I figured out I should stop this right now and just try something else with my dies. So I'm gonna set this aside and see what is gonna roll. So again, here is the list of all the parts, and this is partially done, and I've decided to try out a different way of writing. Instead of like each week get like this, I'm just gonna write in week 1, week 2, 3, and 4 how many days I'm gonna stitch on each piece, so I can see this way still that week I rolled the dice for that piece. So here are the things, and again I haven't not had time to search for the egg for number 1, so instead of that piece, I'm gonna work on one of this if it falls out, or that one as a number 1. So here's the dice again, and let's see what is gonna fall out. I kind of thinking that or that to use. All right, number 5, huh? So it's a Dracula, and let me pull it out again to show you what I'm gonna start in. And here's whole smorgasbord of all the parts. So again, this is what's gonna look like, except this color, because it's supposed to be this darker gray versus khaki looking. And as you can see from a picture, what it needs to be done. So there's the back stitching in here, it needs to be done. The bats need French knots, eyes. This needs to be put together. That needs to be fully stitched yet. I remember, I think this front rib supposed to be back stitching here, and then handles for that one. I think those two pieces are fully done with that, and sides little itty bitties are done. So there's mainly one thing to fully stitch, and then all the details need to be worked on that. So at least that I want to accomplish, and then the last step would be to put it all together, connect it all. And I think it's a web stitch that you connect all the edges here, so I'm gonna have to read on the finishing then. But first I want to set it all as the done parts, so let's start. So it's evening, and I've finished all stitching, back stitching, etc., and French knots. So the only thing is left is put it all together and stitch it up together. So when I was working on this part, I actually forgot about this black line, and I just stitched it. So I had to frog it out and then put the black line in and continue stitching. Then I did all the back stitching, and as you can see, all is done. So the next step, like I said, is gonna be all putting it together according to instructions. So I guess I could say wish me luck, but first I'll have to like trim all those little sticks of the thread that's left close to the canvas itself, so it doesn't stick and it doesn't catch up on tissues or things like that. So but I can't believe that it took me so long to actually do this, and but it was something small, that's why I think I was not in a big hurry to do. But now it's time to make it look like an actual box, so let's start. So just wanted to show you what I've been working. It's the second day, getting an evening, and I'm almost done with this. But it was just so confusing to work, because at first I thought, oh, such a glare, that it would be, you know, going all around this kind of framing. So it turns out it's not. Let me bring up the light for you. These pieces that were joined together is gonna go on the edges. I still need to kind of connect this, because somehow I thought first it would be better this way, and some of the parts of the instructions were just so hard to understand. But you see how it looks before I'm gonna put this on. So this was kind of hard to figure out the layout, because wanted to stick in a bit like off the edge. So and I wanted to not to have sharp corners, and they had to be covered up. So this is what it became, but we know it's going to be covered up. And I couldn't figure out how at first to put this part, because you see like a shortened one angle in here and a flat one there. So I thought maybe the flat one would be forward. So anyway, it gave me a lot of big headache, and I just decided I'm just gonna do my own way, what seems like, and there's nothing at the edges that's gonna be in here. So just gonna work around it, and yeah, and then very hard to attach everything once it's on this part, because then you have to go, I'm gonna show you underneath. So you see kind of this part is not attached fully yet, just the very top, and this is what looks inside like. So you have to good thing that it's kind of a bit bendable to start and end the threads, because when you're working on here, you have to go closer to the connection between two big pieces, and then you have to finish off the thread too. So that's a lot of like bending in different sides happening. But this is what the inside, you see, innards of the box looks like. So it's just a little bit left, and it was a little bit harder to do the headpiece like attachment, but I managed to, let's see, can maybe I'll show you more in daylight. Attached to that, so excuse me, so it would look leaning. So I have to attach this, finish up this bottom and this whole piece, and then it's gonna be anywhere I want it. So I'm gonna try to get this done. And so here it is in all its glory with the tissue box underneath hiding. So there is just a tiny bit of space left underneath. It depends, I guess, what kind of box you get. So it fits. I've attached these 4 bats in the way I wanted. Just went through like in the middle, so the wings are flappy. And let's see, I said I'm gonna show you how it looks from a back. So as you see, first I had to attach the front to like a sew-in in here. Let me show you from here perhaps. So I kind of sewed in. I'm sure it's probably kind of looking wonky. And then the back, because you didn't have to sew in the bottom when I was doing the whole thing in here, the back was kind of loose, so it's can be opened up. And I just got like a sewed in one thread here and a little bit on the back area here, and that's how I attached it. And this is how it looks. So we have RAP handles here, again 2 bats on this side, the spider web with the big spider there, the cross with the French knots, of course, a spider web, handles, and that's it. So I can't believe, let's see, I started this in May 22nd, 2019, so quite a few years, I would say, for something so small. But I'm happy finally I was able to just push myself to finish it off. And like I said, these areas were a little bit harder to figure out, although I don't think it would be too hard to add those sides on the front and the back here. That's nothing attached, it was just stitched. So those little bit pieces took quite a long time, because you have to do the middle, and then you have to do all around the edges, then you have to connect them, and then connect them to sew it in to the base itself. And let's see, I grabbed the whole tissue box. And here is the tissue box to show, and you see kind of a little slight mess when I was trying to go with the threads here to attach when I was attaching it from the edges. So finally done. So we can compare what the original picture is supposed to look like, and look what the color actually is for me, this dark gray, not that one. So I think this is my first FFO of this year, and one of the oldest whips that I just finished. So this is how Dracula plastic canvas kit by Mary Maxim is looking. So overall it's pretty cute. I thought it's gonna look way less, but once I put it all together, it does look cute. So I'm gonna set this until Halloween, which is gonna be just over a month and a half, and we'll pick something next to work on. Okay, so we're back to our roller here and dice, and I marked already that number 5 is done. So right now, while I can't find the egg yet, that's out of the running. Wedding Confections out of running right now, and Dracula and number extras was out of running. So we have number 3, 4, 6, and this one. So if any of the other numbers, like the ones that are finished, fall, then I'll just choose like this one or that, because we have 2 of ornaments to make. So number 1. So I think since today is the 13th, it's Halloweenish kind of day. So I think I'm gonna just start one of the ornaments, because like I said, I have only 2 whole 2 left, and let me pull it out to show you. So here it is. Out of 6, the only 2 are left is Trick or Treat and this one. So I'm stitching on the suggested 20 count fabric, and you see it's very stretchy, wonky, and the cut was, I mean, when you look at the line of the thread, the cut was just like wiggly off, and that's why I was just going a certain amount of distance from the edges. So there's a little bit left space in here and in there. I got the fat quarter, I believe, and let's start one of these. I don't know which one. This one just has, I think, black and the gray colors and maybe eyes for possibly bead, or this one is gonna have a couple of colors for the flame. Pick. Well, you'll see which one I start, so let's start. And it's the next day afternoon and my piece is done. So by my calculations, when I was marking how many stitches I made, I got 1402 stitches, and that includes the back stitching, like the whole bad outline was done, and those little bit in here, and two bigger bats and the one, a tiny one, was done, and the rest of it was just the black, and 317 was done in here. So that's that. Like it was suggested, I did the French knots for the eyes and two bads but for this one I've decided to make a big eyes, and just got this box of just a regular beads, and I picked golden ones for a biggest bat to kind of make it bug-eyed. So I finished it, and by the way, I've did it this way because I figured out it's quite a bit of a space left on the top and the bottom, so it's make sure that the sides will be like this. And so now I have only one more left to do out of ornaments, and I'm gonna leave that for some other time, but very excited that I finished. I think this might be bigger one of those two, so the big thing is done. So that's this until the next time, and let's see what I'll pick next. So the next, I'm gonna take a break from all those small ones, and I'm gonna work on my monthly whip, my second monthly piece, and it's a Beloved or Alien and Rowan, and my usual amount for this year is already done because I wanted to finish the row again, and then I was thinking maybe I should add more, because next year is my plan to finish. So we have like about this area to finish off, like where the first finger you can see is. So I thought if I do another row, and then depends how many like a blocks of 10 I'd like to do, then I would figure out those these 4 months until the end of this year how much I would have to do each month. So if I do like a 4 blocks, so it would be 40 down and 250 in the side, so that would make about 2,500 to do each month. And by New Year I would have a full line down to here. Or if I take this, so that would add another like 600 stitches. But then I thought it's end of the year, like I said, I want to do some FFOing, I want to finish some or other pieces, and I know this whip is gonna be finished next year before the first half is done of the year. So that's fine if I do a little bit less, and then it would be only like 8.5 blocks left to do for 2024. So I figured I'm gonna just do four blocks down, and gonna go for divide like in the quarters and the whole row, and that's how I'm gonna do. So this is what it looks like so far. And if we do 4 quarters, let's see, down to about here, so I should have like this much more than above. So most of his fingers gonna show, except like this one, but that's fine. And that's not a lot of colors. And again, I'm stitching this on 16 count antique white Aida with 2/1 threads with CXC or SHS threads. So I cannot use like a full length because they then become more unraveled kind of look, and The maximum I can do is half a meter, but that's fine. So I'm about to start here, and I'll show you where I finished my first quarter of the row. And the 3 long days passed, and here what we have from start of the row. So big chunk pattern shows that I got just over 3,000 stitches in here. Like I did the section and then kind of started looking at another small section like by of 10, and then I thought, well, I might as well just finish because I needed for some game to put some stitches. So I just finished off rather than like finishing off threads, because I liked more cleaner look like this. So I left the parking to the next area. So a bit more, a tiny bit more than a quarter is done, and I'm very happy. You can see the guy's ring here with some details, like he has some precious stones in here or something like that. So yeah, that's what it looks like. This area of course had more confetti than over here, but it all looks great. It brings the depth more into it. And I'm gonna set this aside until the next month, and let's see what I'm gonna grab next. Well, the second week went fairly well. So as you see in my lineup, I stitched Beloved, I did dark shadows, one ornament started and finished stitching, and Dracula tissue box I finished stitching, putting it all together, sewing it up, and that was first of this year to actually FFO project, plus it was on a plastic canvas. So I think a week was pretty good. Not 4 different projects like last week, but that's all right because some of them were taking a little bit longer. And I think I'm gonna start something that I've planned for this year, at least to start. It's this wine gnome, and it showed up wooden cutouts like that first time last year's Needlework Galleria. And this company had blank cuts like here, plus patterns which you can buy separately, so you can get bunch of these, or if you want to stitch on your own or get their own patterns. So I know in Europe and like Lithuania and Russia there was something like this been going on for a long time. There is several companies that do this kind of little ornaments and etc. For years back, but seems like somebody caught up like that in America, and it's kind of cute. It's better than plastic because it's not gonna bend for you at all. It's hard to take it apart unless you really break it, but it's wooden, and you can have a you can't cut around them much, so you have to use that shape. But I wanted to try out since I love wine. I cannot drink dry wine, which I know is better because it gives acidity for me. So I drink a semi-sweet wine, which is usually white, but I have a good wine collection and I keep looking for different good wines. So if you know some great wine like that, give me suggestions in the comments. But I wanted to start this, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I think that's gonna be enough for this video. At the end I'm gonna include a couple of pictures in a video of places I went. So my daughter started playing in games with the YMCA again, volleyball, and there's already 2 games happened this past 2 weeks, and it was very intense. Actually, their team was playing up to like a maximum 1 hour allowed, which is usually the games previous years. Majority were like 40 minutes, 3 sets, and this time they play like a full hour. So they were very intense games, but both times they managed to win total. So that was exciting, but some of the points we were like standing on our toes and chewing our nails, not literally of course, but it was so intense game. So I was very proud of my daughter's team. They managed to win at the end. And the last Saturday, which was yesterday morning, at one of the YMCA's. They had this snow cone truck, so that's very hard now nowadays to see anywhere. And I don't know what was the occasion, but it was kind of cool to see it again. And also, I went with my husband to Cabelas store, big store in St. Louis, Missouri, and I filmed a little bit inside in case you've never been. I've never been to that place before, and there's a lot of stuff just for practically hunting, fishing. You can get the guns, of course, not just off the street. They do extreme testing and background checking and stuff like that. They had clothes and a lot of what's the taxi stuffed animals preserved, and lots of heads hanging around on the walls. So I took a little video of around, and I hope you enjoy watching that too. So I think that's gonna be enough. I hope you enjoy your day, your upcoming few weeks, and I'm gonna start this little wine gnome. Enjoy the nice cool day here in the Midwest before I don't think it's supposed to rain though. Yesterday should have rained some, but it did not. So next week I'm gonna start the week 3 of these, and we'll grab again. Will be a couple my monthlies that I'm gonna do too, besides small ones. So you'll see the different projects again added. So until next time, this was Jurgita saying bye bye.